It is a gorgeous day here in Central Virginia and the Richmond area, especially for mid-November. That's saying something. So since I've been cranking out so many adventuring videos because of all the summer stuff I did last summer, I was going to put this video off until the spring, but it was such a great day, and who knows if we're going to get any more of these until the spring. I thought, why not do something that I've really been hankering to do for a while, which is take my mountain board on its maiden voyage, so to speak. I've taken it down some grassy hills. We've gone to a skate park with it. So I've tried it out, but I haven't really done what it's built for, which is off-road trail riding. So I live in one of those neighborhoods that has a reservoir, and around it is like a hiking, walking path. Mostly dirt, a little bit of gravel. And there are a couple just like little gnarly hills on this path that every time that I've taken a jog or walked around them, thought, hey, that might be fun to try my mountain board on. Just haven't gotten around to it yet. And then I realized to get out here with my mountain board, I'd either have to walk it or one-wheel it. And of course, one-wheeling would be more fun to take it out here. And then that got me thinking, I haven't one-wheeled over here either yet. Now look, I know that this is not a one-to-one equal fair comparison. Mountain boards don't have most of the features that a one-wheel does. Doesn't have a motor, doesn't have lights. Also, it's really tough to even push with it. Obviously, it wasn't made for that. Now, I have taken the one-wheel trail riding a good amount, and I want to put a disclaimer right up front here. I am not any kind of extreme adrenaline junkie. I really don't like getting hurt. I like doing fun, thrill-seeking stuff, but not to a degree that I'm going to put myself at risk of having to recover for months. I have seen firsthand enough extreme injuries in all of the sports that I've done, including and most excessively electric skateboarding. So if this is just a little tame for you, totally get it. If you're into more like the speed demon and extreme trick and sport stuff, that's awesome. That ain't me. What I'm more hoping to do here, and with my adventuring side of my channel in general, is to hope to connect with and maybe hopefully inspire people that come more from a background like me, where I didn't grow up by the ocean or by mountains and doing a lot of like crazy cool stuff that I'm into now. I got into a lot of that stuff later in life, and I'm exploring it now. But I also have other responsibilities which I have no intention of putting this in priority of. In other words, I need to be in good health so I can live the rest of my life successfully as well. When I peruse YouTube and blogs and things around this kind of sport, I often see a disproportionate amount of like pros and people that are like, you know, super into it to a point that it's like their lifestyle, and I super respect that. I love living vicariously through those kind of folks. But for me, this stuff is more kind of a hobby, and I'm just hoping to represent more of those kind of people that enjoy doing this stuff, building these skills, but not necessarily trying to show off. So that's not my goal here. And to the skateboarding and boarding sports in general, just to speak to my history a little bit, I didn't skate growing up. I had really horrible balance. I did have a skateboard at one point as a teenager, but that was mostly just part of an aesthetic, because during the mid to late 90s, when I was in like middle school and high school, was also when like skate culture was really mainstream, and Jinkos and baggy shirts and airwalks and Vans were becoming really cool for my age group, for fashion. So at one point I got my hands on a cheap skateboard. I think I got on it once or twice, fell off, and said nope. I didn't really get into any kind of regular sporting in general until late college and after college, which is when I got into road biking, which I have a whole video about on my channel. Sort of at the peak of my cycling years, I happened to move to Maui, Hawaii, and it was my first time living by the ocean. So what did I fall in love with? Of course, ocean sports, and more specifically, of course, surfing. Once I learned how to surf, not that I was ever amazing at it, but it was such an all-encompassing, all-fulfilling spiritual thing, more than just the hobby level of things that I'd done before. I really just fell in love with it. So fast forward a couple years later, I relocate back here to the east coast of the mainland, and I'm landlocked. I don't have the ocean nearby anymore. I try to get out and surf when I can, but as you can see in my hand plane video, it's been frustrating to live inland and have a surfing passion. So that said, it hit me at one point that though I wasn't able to surf regularly anymore, that didn't mean I couldn't still board and explore that sport further, especially since I didn't have a background in it. So I got a cheap longboard and I started re-upping my skills on that. I got my balance down. I got a trick board at one point and tried to learn to, like, you know, ollie and kickflip and stuff, but I don't know if it's just me or if you just can't teach an old dog new tricks, but I discovered that I was more of a cruiser than a trickster, whatever the word is for that. However, just kind of cruising around sidewalks and streets on a longboard was getting kind of stale pretty quickly for me. And then I randomly one day discovered, when they were first kind of hitting the mainstream, the the OneWheel. This is back when the version 1 was the only one available. I got one used from a paddleboard instructor, and it instantly clicked for me. It was the closest thing to surfing on land that I had ever experienced. So I've had a OneWheel for several years now. I've seen the new models and upgrades come and go. Like, they just put out the brand new Pint and the new GT, I believe. But on that note, I wonder if there's more people out there like me that can connect on the fact that e-skating for somebody in my economic bracket is just not sustainable. I see all these new boards coming out with all these new features and all these accessories and all these attachments and all these upgrades, and it looks so awesome, and I start frothing at the mouth and get really excited about all the stuff I could have and could do. But then I have to step back and ask myself, how am I going to pay for all this? To me, it's a similar kind of catch-22 that I found myself in after college, where I was indoctrinated into the Apple media production side of computing. And then a few years later, when the PowerBook G4 I had that was working great but couldn't be upgraded because of the chip in it, then I couldn't sync with like my iPod or my eventual iPhone. And then I realized I had to buy a new computer just to sustain my phone, and eventually I'd have to get a new phone because the old phone was going to go obsolete. This planned obsolescence thing with electronic companies is maddening to me, which I know is ironic because I work in a tech field. But personally, I feel that being a healthy skeptic, even in your passions, is a good thing. So all that said, I still have my OneWheel Plus. No, it's not the most powerful. No, it's not the fastest. But for my level and my enjoyment, it gets the job done. Yes, the battery is an issue if I want to go for longer rides. That's why I installed the Ranger unit from Landsurf, where I can use an Ego battery, which I also have some yard equipment that I can use this for too. So it was a good investment. The other plus of that attachment on the back is that I can hook my foot under the battery mount, and then I got a flight fin for the front, so it acts kind of like a rear flight fin too. All right, so back to what I'm gonna do in this video. Again, I know the idea of comparing one to the other is kind of misleading and unfair, but since they're both off-road and all-terrain kind of vehicles, I just kind of want to get a feel of how they both handle on the same terrain, just to see which one I prefer, what the pros and cons might be, and if and when it comes to it, do I really want to reinvest in another e-skateboard if I can get the job done with an analog board that can essentially do the same things that I'm looking for in it, except go uphill on its own. So I'm gonna hit a couple hills on this trail, run them a couple times on both boards, and then see where we're at. Let's ride.
All right, this hill is really small, but I thought it'd be good to start off with the least challenging thing so I can even make it to the second hill. What I'm gonna try to do and compare both boards, especially for their weight, is when I get down to the bottom here, can I jump this little lip?
Okay, first impressions. This thing won't stay on the Velcro, so I'm not getting as much footage from this as I wanted to because it keeps falling off whenever I do a maneuver. But that was fun. The maneuverability and carving nature of the OneWheel is unquestionable and unparalleled. I really have to lean into this thing, and you saw that I had to lean all the way over and put my hand on the ground to not fall over when I was trying to make a sharper curve. The OneWheel is just like butter. Just whew. Also, there's all the sand down here at the bottom, so without the motorized speed that I get at the end of the OneWheel plus the momentum, I was actually able to get up. I've never jumped something that high before using the flight fins on the OneWheel. and the battery attachment in the back. But this, I could have easily cleared it despite what the footage showed. But because I slowed down right at the end because of the sand right here. So I'm gonna go hopefully find another spot where I can get a little bit more smooth momentum all the way through. But this thing just goes over tree roots and rocks like they're nothing. That's always been an issue that I've had with the OneWheel that I don't blame the OneWheel for. It's just the nature of the beast. But because the center of gravity is only on that one wheel in the middle of the board, it's a lot more precarious, especially if you hit some kind of obstruction like a tree root. You really have to have strong balance to not fall off. But this thing, the center of gravity is on the outside, and I have to like really try to fall over on this thing, even if I hit something that really wants to throw me off like it would on a one wheel. Oh, and that's the other thing too. Your ability to bail on a one wheel, unquestionably great. It's a lot harder, more cumbersome to bail on here. You can, but you have to pull both feet out and you got to time it just right. And so really I'm seeing more pros than cons of both boards. So let's go try hill number 2 and see if anything else is illuminated.
All right, hill number 2. I'd say it's about the same grade as the other hill, which is not much. Not steep. And this one ends in another little boardwalk, but there's no lip to go up. However, this one has a gnarled root right here in the middle. So that'll be fun to test the jumping again, but not at the end. So because I should actually have a little bit of momentum coming down right there, so I can jump that and then see how far I can make it onto the...
Let's start with the mountain board this time. I didn't expect it to be so hot today. Well, that first one I took a little too sharp, and you saw what happened. The second one, a little bit better, and I was able to go just with gravity all the way across the bridge. And then the gravel stopped me at the end, so gravel is every boarder's worst nightmare, I guess. Before I try the one wheel, I'm gonna readjust and go down another side of this hill. Looks a little steeper and worth a shot. That was my helmet here. Okay, final assessment. Should have brought some water. I could keep going. This is way too much fun. I need to do this way more often with either the one wheel and or the mountain board. I love the idea about being able to strap the mountain board to my back and one wheeling to places that you can't get to on the mountain board, but then using the mountain board for maybe more like mountain board conducive parts of an otherwise one-wheelable trail. And I got these heavy-duty carabiners. There's probably a million different ways to do it, but I just hook these onto the back of my one-wheel backpack and then clip into the trucks of the mountain board, and it hangs on my back. So what's the final score, final tally? I never expected to have one. I just really wanted to do this and give myself an excuse to do it. Sometimes I just need to make a video to make myself do something I keep intending to do, keep thinking about, keep mulling over, but keep procrastinating because there's so many other pressing matters all the time, you know? But I stand by what I said after hill number 1. Maneuverability is just unmatched. I really have to dig in and lean hard to make the mountain board turn. It does not turn on a dime like the one wheel. It is a super smooth ride though, like I said, the knobby tires, of which I know I could get knobbier tires for my one wheel, but again, and just the outward center of gravity makes it feel just a little bit more stable to me, especially for when I'm getting speed. Any one-wheelers out there know about the one-wheel wobble. Not that I've ever matched the speed on the mountain board that I have on the one wheel, and not that I've ever pushed the one wheel to its limits. And I have taken a header and been thrown one too many times on the one wheel. So you saw on the one wheel run, I didn't have to pull the board up so high like I did with the mountain board to get all 4 wheels over. It just occurred to me that since there's only one wheel right in the middle, all I had to do was just lightly bring it up and back down. I guess if I was more extreme and experienced, I could still ollie up the one wheel, though it's heavy. The mountain board is like nothing when I try to bring it off the ground. But I'm sure I could recreate the same kind of experience if I wanted to. So it makes me wonder, and it's just something I've been looking into, would I ultimately prefer an electric mountain board? I've looked into it, I've looked into the pre-built ones and the DIY ones, and they all look great for speed. I think the thing that holds me back from being all in on the e-board movement in general is, yes, you have less overall control, I guess, with an analog board, because it doesn't have a bunch of sensors and responses helping you navigate terrain and speed and everything. Maybe it's my more like elder millennial kind of mentality, but I tend to trust simple machines more than advanced technology. The thing that's always in the back of my mind with the one wheel, and I can imagine with a e-board with a remote, could be even more anxious for me. It's not really you in control overall with your equipment. It's more of a relationship with the technology. And so ultimately, I think what I would like, and that if it's out there, I'd love for somebody to let me know, and if it's not, I hope that it comes in the near future, is a kind of board that you can toggle on and off between electronic and digital. What I like to be able to do, and I like just like simplification and streamlining as much as possible in general, I'd love to have a power mountain board that would help me ultimately just get up hills and get around really nasty obstacles, but then I could turn off the power and let it coast, especially when I'm going downhill. Because the thing with the one wheel, when I'm coming down a hill, and I'm sure that there's a comfort level and experience and skill that I'm lacking, but I feel like I have to pick my way down hills and stuff more than just charge down them, because I know that the electronics and the sensors are going to push back against the things that it's programmed to. It's kind of got a mind of its own that you communicate with, but you can't just ride the board as is, which I think is what I ultimately prefer when I'm in a scenario, I'm trying to navigate some kind of obstacle. It's nice to be able to just tell the board what I want it to do and have it be up to me whether I succeed or fail at that, than the board having a say in it too, I guess. I don't know, maybe that all comes across as really naive and inexperienced, but that's where I am. This is my own personal experience, these are my opinions, and I'm just happy to be out here on a beautiful day having fun in the sun. And even though I'm not able to catch any waves today, I'm still doing the next best thing, boarding.